Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's video. We have Kayla ZEVCHIK with us today over in Cleveland, Ohio. I'm so grateful for you doing this today. Hey, Kayla.
Hi, how are you?
Kayla has been living with and working to recover with ME or CFS, and she got it at a pretty young age. I'm really excited to have you here so you could just talk a bit about some of the unique challenges that have come up with having this at your age. I'm just happy to have you here and hear a bit about your experience.
Thank you so much. I'm so honored and happy to be here, and you inspire me, and your book inspired me. So I'm so grateful to be here today. Thank you.
Oh, the pleasure is all mine. Okay, so just before we jump in, as always, I just want to make sure everybody knows that neither Kayla nor myself are medical healthcare professionals. So nothing that we share today should be considered medical advice. We will just be sharing our own experience of living with and recovering from ME or chronic fatigue syndrome. So, Kayla, I guess it would be great if you could actually just start by telling us a bit of what it was like for you before you started having health challenges. What did life look like for you before all of this came into your life?
Yeah, of course. So, growing up, I got this illness before I was 16. So from when I was born to 16, I was super active, type A personality. Growing up, I thought I was healthy as everyone else around me was. The only thing that maybe stuck out to me was I had a lot of colds and upper respiratory symptoms and a little bit of a sports induced asthma, but nothing that, kept me from going about my daily routines. And, I love to travel with family. I loved to do well in school. And I was just so super active in any way I could be. So,
Sounds familiar. I think a few
yes.
more than a few of us can relate to that. Maybe there are people out there that say, "Oh, I just kind of sat around and then I got sick one day." But it really just seems like it's those
No.
over the top, super active, athletic types, go-getters, and I think that's
Right.
part of the reason it can be all the more shocking when we get hit with it.
Right. Right, of course, and it's so hard to adapt to.
So, how did you first become unwell? Can you describe a bit of what that was like for you?
So, I was 16 and a half, and I was a junior in high school, and at this age, I was just super busy playing high school soccer, high school basketball, and I started to feel a little bit of tired, hard waking up in the mornings. My mom would have to, like, scream and to get me out of bed, and, I just started noticing a little bit of symptoms, but I just thought maybe I was just, like, kinda worn down from playing sports. But a day before I got sick with my illness, I started feeling a little anxiety, and I was laying in bed and I was like, "Mom, like, I really don't know what's going on. I just kinda feel a little bit, like, overwhelmed, and my body doesn't feel right." And she's like, "Oh, you're probably just a little overwhelmed with school and sports and, maybe just go to bed and relax." So I woke up and my symptoms started getting worse. I started having really bad pain all over my body and a really bad breathing actually difficulty. And so I ended up going to the ER and they diagnosed me with costochondritis, which I never knew what that was, but I guess it's just an inflammation of the ribs. Like, oh, it'll go away in a couple of days. I'm like, okay, cool. Like, sounds good to me. And it just never went away. And I kept seeing, more doctors and like I'm sure everyone else that experiences this has as well. And they kept saying maybe it was anxiety or I was just, worn down. And it was just very hard getting answers at first. So that's kind of what it was like when I came on well.
Wow. So, how long did this keep going on before you started to think this might be something more?
So it honestly was going on for like a couple weeks to even like a month or two, and I was like bedridden. I had to quit all sports. I wasn't going to school, and my biggest symptom from day one was my breathing. But as I went to more doctors and got like pulmonologists and all the specialists, they kept ruling things out, and I kept not feeling better. And so we're like, something is wrong here, something more deeply. And that's when I knew that like it just wasn't right. And I just was so fatigued and just would lay around all day.
That sounds so scary at any age, but especially
Yeah.
at 16. What were you
Yeah.
thinking at this time?
I honestly was scared to death. I was scared of my life. I had no idea if I was, honestly gonna live, to be honest. I thought I had, and I'm a worrier to begin with. So I was researching things on my phone every single night, and I just kept finding new diagnosis, and I was like, "I have this, I have that," and my brain was all over the place, to be honest, and I was a nervous wreck. So, very
Wow,
scary time.
that
Yeah,
sounds terrifying at any age. And then when the
yeah.
doctors aren't really even giving you anything to put your mind at ease.
Mhm. That
In these
that was the
situations.
hardest part. That was really the hardest part for me because growing up, I always thought that I could trust doctors, like, doctors are the ones that heal you, they give you the medicine you need to be able to feel better, and with this certain situation, it just wasn't the case, and I finally realized that. But being young, I was saddened that I couldn't trust any doctors to give me help.
It's a pretty scary feeling to feel like these people
Yeah,
with all these years of education can't help you and you are on your own,
right.
especially at
Yeah,
16, but at any age.
yeah.
And I don't mean to
It
shame or fault doctors because they just aren't trained
No, no, no,
for it.
no. Exactly, which is what I end up, eventually figuring out. But yeah, it was very, very hard.
So what happened from there? As it kept going, they kept doing tests. Eventually, you came to a diagnosis of ME or CFS. How did that
Yeah.
happen?
Yeah. So it probably took about honestly 6 months, and it happened to be a rheumatoid arthritis specialist that my mom found, and she found high level markers of inflammation in my body, and she was like, "I think you have fibromyalgia." And we're like, "Finally, like a diagnosis, like, wow, like, this is amazing." And she prescribed a drug that just didn't work well with me, and I didn't seem to be getting better. So we were like, "All right, we gotta dig deeper." So we started digging deeper, and I started seeing more like going down the holistic route and seeing more holistic specialists. And I got a diagnosis from one that I had chronic fatigue syndrome, and it's such a broad term that I was like, well, how do I fix this? And that's kind of when it just like I started to find out that I had Epstein Barr virus because I got that my blood tested, and they were doing more like in-depth blood work, and they thought I had a thyroid problem, and it was just all these different things that were coming up, and it was just becoming more stressful to me. But it was honestly kind of like, in a way, like I felt happy that I was like finding things finally about what was wrong with me.
Had you heard of chronic fatigue syndrome before you got this
Never.
diagnosis?
Never in my life. None of my friends, my family, I had absolutely no idea what it was. And I was like, "What even is this? I never heard this in my life." Like, yeah, it was weird.
And what did you think of that diagnosis when you first got it?
I was like, "Okay, well, does this last forever?" Like, I'm a person that like I like to, solve things, and I'm such a strong like I've always been like, have hard work ethic and stuff. And I was like, I'm not gonna deal with this the rest of my life. Like, I want to find like a cure. I want to be able to beat this. And I always had that attitude since day one. So I think that has stuck with me, and through all the struggles, I've just kind of kept chugging along. So
I think that's so important. I guess that's the good thing of a lot of us being go-getters and maybe some of us kind of the overachiever types is that when we get this, we go at this illness with the same determination and the same
yes,
level of like,
yes.
this will not stop me.
Yes, exactly. That's kind of been my attitude since day one. So,
So were you able to keep going to school while you had this, or what did that look like?
the summer before senior year, I just really did nothing, just kind of lay in my bed. And then senior year came around, and I couldn't play my soccer season. And so I took half a day of school. So I went there for like 2 or 3 hours, then came home. I mean, that's kind of what my schedule looked like whole senior year, basically. So I ended up graduating fine and completed all of my coursework. So that all worked out. But yeah, that's what my schedule looked like.
Okay. I imagine that must have been really difficult.
Yeah, it was. And I would come home after school, and I would just be like, ugh, exhausted from, just going to school for 2 hours. And I would come home and just crash and lay around the rest of the day.
And
So,
high school, for many of us, is one of the most social times of our lives. Out with
yeah.
friends, playing sports, doing all sorts of things. You virtually never want to be home, it seems, when you're in high school.
Yeah. So that was the hardest part for me because my senior year, I was actually on route to play Division 1 soccer. I was getting recruited, before I got sick my junior season, and that all went down the drains for me. And I couldn't play my senior year of soccer. I had to sit the bench and root from the sidelines, which was really heartbreaking for me. But also just sacrificing, like you said, and like not being able to go to like friends events. And I ended up going to my senior prom, but it didn't feel the same. I obviously was ill, but through pictures it looks like I had a blast, which is a whole
Yeah.
different story, with social media and things like that. But yeah, it was really hard because my friends, did not understand what was happening, and they thought I would just get better, and I wasn't. So
So, what was your treatment program looking at like at this point?
yeah, so at this point, I really was just kind of going to a neuromuscular massage person for my fibromyalgia. It would help my pain, but my pain was still pretty much there at times and would come back. And then I was starting to switch my diet, but not completely because I didn't know at this point how important diet was for this type of situation.
Mhm.
So basically, I wasn't really doing it that much to help myself because I just didn't think me and my family didn't have the right direction at this point on what to exactly do. We were just kind of, going through the motions at that point, and trying to get by. And mostly I was focused mostly on like my like senior year and like friends and things like that. I wasn't really focused on my health yet. So
So it doesn't sound like the doctors gave you much direction in terms of
no.
treatment or what you could do. They just sort of gave you a diagnosis, sent you off.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly, and I was taking a couple of supplements here and there, but,
Okay.
didn't seem to be doing that much at that point, so
Wow, how
yeah,
I'm just trying to think of the overwhelming and the scary and the feelings and the
yeah,
hopelessness that comes with it. And then when you don't even have anything, because for a long time for me, that's what kept me going was when I was actively working on it, because it was this hope, like, okay, I'm trying this treatment now, or I'm trying that protocol, and it's worked for
yeah,
so and so. So it keeps you
right,
going. But when you're just stuck in that
right,
kind of survival mode and there's not even any really doesn't sound like any hope at the end
right.
of it all.
I mean, it was terrifying, and I think that at such a young age especially, I was just, like, super struggling with, like, life and how to balance friends and then how to balance my health condition at the same time, and I was still trying to go about being a normal teen at that point. I think my parents wanted me to do that, and we just weren't really focusing on my health as much as, like, I am now. So,
Right.
and at the end of all this, though, like, my mom was kept searching for different things at that time, and she always has been my biggest advocate, and, because I really I didn't wanna accept it when I was in high school, and I just kinda was like, "Oh, hopefully it'll just go in its own without doing anything about it," but my mom kept searching and searching for answers, and that's kinda what led to, my recovery, finding new things.
Right.
So, my plan was to go to college like any other teenager, and all my friends were going. I have older sibling, and he went to college, and I was like, I'm not gonna take a gap year, even though I was super sick. I always had the mindset that I wanted to go, and maybe going away to college would help me be more of an advocate for myself and help my healing and take care of myself. So I went to college. I went to High University. I'm in Southern Ohio, and from there, it was just kind of freshman year was a blur for me because I was so sick. I actually had to take a van to class. Every single class I had, I couldn't walk far places. After classes, I would just come home and lay in bed the rest of the day and basically just hide out in my dorm room. It was really scary, but I knew that I wanted to graduate in time and hopefully I could come out on the other end with a degree. I had to try to manage the social aspect of college as well, which is very, very hard. And I hid my illness mostly like the whole time until I met like true friends that I could, tell why I was skipping certain things. And I eventually joined a sorority and I had to tell some people in there why I couldn't live in the sorority house and just a lot of things like that that a normal college student wouldn't have to deal with. I had to deal with. And, you know, I think it made me stronger, as a person, honestly, but I just kinda started to not care about what people thought of me, and before in high school, I really did, and I was not accepting my illness, but I really started accepting. I was like, If I can't do something, I'm gonna say no," and I think that's what really also helped my healing is just pacing and figuring out, where to use my energy, and if that event was worth it or not.
Good for you. That sounds really
Yeah,
tough, but also
yeah,
that yeah, to develop those skills and to learn those boundaries is so important at any age. I think most of us
yeah,
are struggling with it still in our 30s, our 40s, our 50s. So good for you
yeah.
for doing that while still in university. What was it like sharing
Yeah.
your illness experience with your friends? What was the reaction?
So, I mean, when I explain it to people, I kind of just explain like a chronic flu because when I say chronic fatigue, like, oh, I'm tired all the time too. And it's like, it's not to the level of like chronic fatigue is such a broad spectrum. Like, there's so many different symptoms that go under that, that category. So it was difficult, but I just basically said that like I have a chronic flu and I can't do certain things unless I, am really strict on my diet. And if I keep a certain sleeper schedule, I have to go to bed early. And I, sometimes feel better than others. I have good days, I have bad days, and my body just feels super fatigued and kind of weighed down and weak at some points. And some people were like, "Oh, okay," like kind of understand, but others just it flew right past them, and it just kind of was it was hard finding true friends that could be there for me because I didn't want to put my illness on them. So that was kind of the hardest part for me is finding people who would listen here and there and, ask me like how I was doing.
All right, so you've shared quite a bit already of some of the challenges and struggles that have come along with this, but I'm just wondering, especially at such a young age, what are some of the biggest challenges that you faced with this?
So I think definitely is just how young and how people don't understand, like, but also just not knowing what you're doing is working at the moment. I think that that was one of my biggest struggles that I faced is because you have so many different resources and people are telling you do this and do that and take this supplement, take that supplement, and basically at the end of the day, I think you have to be your own advocate and do your body. You know your body best. So I feel that just kind of figure out my body as I got older helped me a lot in knowing what my body needs, and that's kinda how I figured out how to treat my body with the right things. And then also just definitely limiting on, like, activity and sports, and people my age are so energetic and fun and, wanna go out and do things and be active, and not being able to do certain things with my friends and making up excuses for why I couldn't was really heartbreaking for me and sad, and I just knew one day I told myself that I'll be able to do all that again. A couple other things I could think of is just also one major thing for me is planning future events. It always seems like a big struggle for me, like a concert coming up in a couple months, or um, just like a big, like a birthday party of a friend or something like that. It seems like when I plan things ahead, I always feel worse for that event because it's the time you're waiting up to that event and you're
Mhm.
stressing about it. And I think that over time, just taking it one day at a time has been my biggest piece of advice for anyone because you can't, every day is a different day and every day is a different, you might feel different from today, from tomorrow. So not getting worried about the future, just kind of taking it day by day is something that I learned. And then another big struggle for me was I had an internship last summer with the Cleveland Cavaliers, and I was a sports management major in college, and I love sports. I wanted to do something with sports my whole life. So I got this internship. They took 2 people from my whole school, and I was like, "Wow, this is an amazing opportunity." Like, I'm so excited, but they had no idea about my illness, and I was so, like, scared about, like, if I couldn't do something or whatever, and I ended up overdoing it at my internship because it was so rigorous and long hours that I had to stop the last 2 weeks because I went into a huge crash, and I had to tell them I just had mono because I couldn't tell them I had this illness, because I didn't want it to get around to other employers or businesses that
Mhm.
I could be, potentially working at. So, yeah, it's a lot. That's a lot of struggles I've been dealing with, but I think that I've learned in ways to help those struggles and turn them into positive things to help me heal. So,
Yeah, I'm so sorry you had to
yeah,
go through all that. That must have been
yeah,
unmanageably stressful. And I think you bring up such a good point too about the stress, even just for social things in our life. Because I don't know what you find, but for me, stress can take me down faster than just about anything else. Because if I'm doing
hmm
something that's really relaxed and really joyful, even when I was quite sick, I could last quite a bit longer.
Another thing that I wanted to mention about stress is what I've learned with this condition is, there's physical stress and there's mental stress. And so physical could be, taking a walk or something like that, and you feel bad after it, but also like mental stress, but like looking at a computer screen all day and doing schoolwork, I would feel tired after. So it's like kind of balancing the mental and the physical aspect of both of them and not using your energy on either too much of either or.
Yeah, I think the mental stress, it takes us a while to learn to appreciate how draining it is.
Oh my god. Yeah.
Yeah,
For
it seems
sure.
like it should be maybe take 10% of the energy of the physical stuff, but it's not like that at all. It can really wipe us out, really
Right.
wipe us out.
Exactly, and that's what took me a long time to realize that.
Oh, I was thinking too when you're sharing about your internship, and this oddly is something that I'm facing right now too, how you couldn't say, oh, I'm chronically ill or I have chronic fatigue syndrome. And we're,
Yeah.
we're trying to create this world, I think, where we're okay with disabilities, we're okay with differences and limitations. And it's all good and there in theory, but in reality, I don't think any of us really feel that that's the case. Because I've never told a
Mm.
single employer, aside from the job that I initially quit, and had to go on a disability leave. But since then, I just make up excuses. And even now, I'm looking to go back to work because I've just moved to the US and I've just finally got my US visa. But I'm looking at my resume and it's got so many holes in it from all the time I was off. And it's really hard because I don't want to lie. but I don't think I can tell the truth. So it's another barrier
Right.
for all of us, even once we recover.
Right.
Just keeps it stays with
Right.
you. It's just we need
I
to keep
know.
working in this world to get to a place where we're more accepting of these things.
I totally agree, and I think that, if you were to tell an employer that you have something like this, I feel like I would get fired right away, or I would be looked at differently, or ask questions. I totally agree with you. I think that this world needs to come to a place to be more accepting of things like this, and like you said, even after you've healed, you still have things that, like your resume and things like that, that's what I get worried of. It's like if I can't hold a job and I
Mhm.
take a couple years off to heal, then how will I ever go back to work? Like everything's just so strict and not accepting of things like this. And I think I really need to come to a place where it is.
So where are you at? You're finished college now?
Yeah, so I just graduated from high university. So that's pretty
Congratulations.
exciting. Thank you. With
Yay!
everything going on, I didn't get to walk across the stage, but I still got my
Oh,
diploma mailed to me. So that was interesting, but
wow, congratulations.
yeah.
This was an
Thank
extra
you.
big celebration because this had to
I
be
know.
100 times harder for you than the average person. So this is a massive
It
achievement. Good for you.
it really was, and I could say I'm really proud of myself through getting through 4 years with having the illness in college. It was very tough, but, yeah, I got through it, and here I am, so thank you. It means a lot.
So where are you at with all of this now?
So since quarantine happened, it really made me hone in more on my healing. And I was like, why not? I'm gonna be sitting around doing nothing. Might as well really start taking advantage of this. And so basically I started on Instagram and I made an Instagram account and started reaching out to more people. And then I also found the medical medium, which I've been trying to practice some of his things that he recommends, which is celery juice and different cleanses and detoxes, which many people swear by. And then I've also been more super strict on my diet, which is dairy free, egg free, and gluten free. I'm also trying to go more plant based, but my family is living with my family, being home. My mom cooks for me a lot still, so it's kind of hard for them to adapt to my situation. But I'm gonna try to cook more myself and become more plant based. I heard that really helps. And then also just really being more relaxed, and I've been trying to practice meditation. Every morning I do stretching and rolling out my muscles because I notice they're more stiff in the morning. I also do dry brushing, just trying to have a more relaxed mindset about everything and use my energy wisely more because I have so much downtime. I could, relax when I want to and decide when I want to use my energy or not. And I'm not like at college where, there's parties going on 24/7 and things I'm missing out on. So I feel more comfortable where I'm at right now. I feel like I'm really in a really good place. And I feel like I do have a lot more better days than worse days, which is really positive and healing.
Supplements really never helped me very much at all, but many other people say that they do. Many other people make improvements from
It's
it.
hard for me to tell if they do or not. That's like the point I'm at, and I know some do, like, I take magnesium and I feel better with my muscles, but, like, that's the only one I really could tell the difference? So it's just, like, it's such a struggle of finding out what works and doesn't, I guess, but
It is funny. Magnesium is one that comes up a lot. So if there is a supplement that pulls its weight, I somehow suspect that magnesium might be one of them.
I go to bed way too late, so that's my problem, so I'm trying to work on going to bed earlier. I go to bed at 12 and wake up at, like, 10, so it's not, like, terrible.
Maybe
It's
that's just how your body clock is wired. I mean,
I know. But I heard if you go to bed earlier, it does, like, help, so I'm trying, but
I've heard that a lot too, and that the sleep that you get earlier is more valuable, or different things.
yeah,
To be honest, I'm not sure that my experience always has shown that because I've definitely tried, but it's a real struggle for me to get to bed really early. My body seems to function best when I go to sleep probably around
yeah.
midnight. Like midnight to 8 seems to be my optimal time. So I'm completely missing that zone they say you're supposed to get. But what kind of things have shown you progress so far? Like what seems to have the most promise?
I think, like, sleep schedule, definitely, like, diet, just pacing and resting a lot. I like, say if I, like, go for a couple of days, I'll crash, and, like, my problem is I feel energy and I just wanna use it right away, and so I think that I'm trying to just restore energy better, um, and keep my nervous system down. I tried the lightning process. You know what that is?
I've heard of it, but I don't know the details
Yeah.
of it.
And sadly, it just didn't resonate with me. I went to Canada actually to do it with a guy, and
Okay.
it just it some people they're healed in 3 days, and I'm like,
Wow.
geez, yeah.
Eh,
And for me, I was like not feeling the best when I was doing the program, and it just didn't resonate with me. So it's more just kind of like relaxing your body
mhm.
and keeping the nervous system calm, which I try to do that on my own, but the method just didn't work for me. So, but it's
Okay.
okay, you gotta try different things. But
Yeah, good for you for trying and good for you for knowing that it
yeah,
wasn't quite a right fit. But yeah, that's the frustrating thing is it gets exciting because you see something that worked so well for someone and it's like, okay, this is it.
this is
This is
it.
going
This
to
is
do
it.
it.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
it doesn't. And then you spend a lot of
Uh huh.
money and energy and time.
Right. Exactly. But I did accept the job, full time job, and that's one of my things I'm a little bit nervous about, but I'll be moving up to Columbus, Ohio, and doing a job there in sales and just seeing how I'll hope that goes well for me. And if it doesn't, I do a backup plan, but I'm going to try to do that. And I think living on my own, I found also really helps me because it's like I have more time to, just have downtime and be relaxed and
Mm-hmm.
cook more for myself and take the right supplements and just kind of everything more falls into place when I'm alone because I don't have outside people distracting me.
Yeah.
But that's pretty much like where I am right now.
So congrats on the job.
Thank you.
I feel myself both excited and nervous for you because I know
I
that
know.
it'd be scary taking on something like this when you can't always feel like you can rely on your body. But it sounds like you have
Yes.
been seeing progress with your health and
Yes.
you're doing quite a bit to work on it.
Yes. So I'm praying for the best, but
When you're talking about living with yourself, I was just thinking, I wonder if other people find this too. I find I have mixed feelings about it because when I'm really focused on taking care of myself, I really want to be by myself because it is so nice when it's just simple. Like sometimes
yes.
I just don't want to have a conversation with another
Yes.
person. Like I don't
Yes.
want their stuff in my space. I don't even, no matter how much I love them, even want to see them. I just really want to be in my own bubble. But then I also find when you get in that healing bubble, that with all of your focus on getting better, it can be really isolating. And then that isolation can be really toxic too. So it's a kind of a trade off. I think there's a lot of benefits to living alone. In my experience, for me, and we're all different, I've come to learn I think I do better living with someone else just because it I get that interaction with other people without having to go out. So it's like a
Yeah.
less draining way to have
Yeah.
people to talk to. It's crazy how the small things, just someone saying like, "How was your day?" or just
Right.
having a little chit chat. But you're going to be working, and I'm sure you'll have enough
Yeah.
interaction in your life to
Yeah. That's exactly
fill
what
that.
like I totally agree with that as well because sometimes I do find like I've been home this whole week alone. My parents are on vacation and sometimes I get trapped with overthinking thoughts about like, am I doing the right things? Am I doing this and this? And you do become a little bit, in your own little bubble and paranoid and stuff. And I think that when I do start my job, I'll be living alone, but also during the day have interaction with people at my job. So like you said, it's kind of like the best of balance and best of both worlds, which I think is super important with living with something like this as well. And if you are living alone, like sometimes when I am here, I'll call friends or just sit and chat with people sometimes to get your mind off of just healing 24/7.
Yes,
So
yes, so important to get out of your own head and to make that
right,
effort. And it is effort, and sometimes it just feels like it'd be easier and simpler to not even bother. But yeah, it's
right,
so important. We
of
need
course, yeah,
people.
yes,
Yeah.
exactly, we definitely do.
So it sounds like you're making progress with your health and life is moving forward, and you've come a long way from when you were 16 and could only manage a couple hours of school per day. What sorts of things are you looking forward to in the future once you're completely past this?
A lot of the things, honestly, and I'm so hopeful that, and I know one day I will heal. So I look forward to traveling. Before I was sick, me and my family would travel basically the world, Europe and the beach and so many different places. And traveling has been one of the biggest struggles as well. So I'm looking forward to doing that, and most importantly, being active and working out. I miss just taking runs and doing things like that that just relieve stress for me. That was my biggest relief of stress was playing soccer on the field. So I think that working out will definitely be something I'm definitely looking forward to. And I do try to do little things here and there, and I'm definitely working my way back into working out. So just baby steps at a time. And then attending concerts, I'm a big music person, and I know that standing, especially at concerts for long periods of time, has been very hard for me. So just being able to, I know COVID right now, due to COVID right now, there's not really many concerts, so I'm not really missing out. But looking forward to going to concerts, being able to, like honestly, in the end, just like helping others. And I think that that's what the most important thing is. This is a disguise, and it's a blessing in disguise because I've been through so much at a young age, and I'm so much stronger than other people. I think due to it, and I just want to be able to get it back when I do heal and help other people, kind of like you're doing now. So
Yeah, no, that's great.
yeah,
That's wonderful.
yeah,
I think people could really use that. And you definitely have a lot to offer. You've been through so much already
yeah.
in your young life. So having been through this from such a young age, and you've been going through this for quite a few years already, what advice would you have for other people that are getting this when they're younger? Or what advice would you have for yourself if you could go back to your 16-year-old self? What would you say?
I think that I wish I would have started focusing on healing right from the start. I think I could have been more ahead of the game from where I am now. For me, what I found is finding a functional medicine doctor that really gets the whole picture of things and looks at the root causes of your symptoms, figures out, a diet plan that works for you and supplements and rest and relaxation. All those key components have definitely helped improve my health. And then also, I think would be just get involved with a community that, other people out there that have this. I think talking to others makes you not feel as less lonely. And I found I used to always be scared of that because I didn't want people to know that I had it, but it really does help talking to other people about what they're doing that's helping them, and maybe it could work for you. So I think that just getting out there and getting involved, and don't be afraid to tell people that you have it, because one, it spreads more awareness, and two, maybe they have other answers that you don't that could help you. And also, my like last advice that's like one of the most important is like you honestly have to be your own advocate, because there's your body best. And I felt like that me going to all these different doctors and them having no answers for me just made me like kind of like heartbroken. And I felt that like my mom and me being my our own advocates for me has helped me the most in healing and finding what works best for me and finding other people out there to help you.
That is such solid advice, Kayla. Thank you so much for
Thank
that.
you.
All of it
Yeah.
resonates, 1,000%. It
Yeah.
apps really helpful stuff to know.
And like one thing is like with this whole condition is like not one thing is going to help you. Like not just eating the right diet or not just meditating every day. Like it's a multitude of so many different things that you have to do to help your healing, and it's all mind, body, soul, and doing everything you can to help heal.
I think that is a really important one. And I know for me, I always wanted, at least in the beginning, it to kind of be one thing. Or I don't know, if I
Yes.
would have heard all of these things that we talk about in these videos, I'm not sure I would have thought, oh, yeah, that sounds like it can get me out of that. Like, give me something real. Like, I want to know about a surgery or a
Yeah.
new medication that's just come out on the market or something
The
that's going to
magic
fix all of
pill.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
those are more satisfying answers, and that's what we've been conditioned to look for. So it can be
Yeah.
really frustrating and probably understandable that it takes us a while to get to this path where we realize that, at least for many of us, it's so much just about building our body back up. And the way out of it seems to be supporting your body's own ability to heal under the right conditions, which isn't one thing, it's a lot of things.
Right.
And it's not
Right.
even the same for everybody, depending on your
Yes.
body and your history.
Exactly.
And I think it's important for people to know that there are different types of support communities out there, because I know, at least for me, I took a peek and I saw a couple, and it didn't seem like it was for me. I
Yes.
just thought, "Well, those
Yep.
aren't my people. I don't feel like
Mhm.
I fit there." So I just shut the wall and I just like, nope,
Yes.
I'm going to keep not talking about it. I'm not going to join any.
Yep. Same.
So many options now. There's groups for younger people, for older people, for different
Yes.
countries. There's ones that are very much recovery focused, ones that are very much all about positivity.
I totally agree, and like I felt the same way. There's just some groups out there that I just felt like wasn't for me or my age group or my type of personality. And I think that if that happens to you, don't give up. There's, like you said, there's so many other options out there that you can feel supported with, and support is very helpful with this as well, because you need to feel like you're supported to be able to feel positive and happy and feel better. So.
So, Kayla, how can people find you if they want to connect with you, ask you questions, if they want to follow you? How can they do that?
Yeah, so my Instagram is heal with K, and I've been posting a lot of different things on there. I just wanted to make it a positive healing page for everyone to see. And then I'm also open to email. If you want to email me, my email is kaylazevchik@gmail.com. I'm willing for anyone to reach out to me with any questions they may have. I'm willing to help anyone in any way I can. So,
Thank you so much for sharing that. And
yeah.
yeah, it will all be in the video description. So if anyone wants to find Kayla, I'm sure she'd love to hear from you. So pop over and say hello. And same with me. I always love hearing from you as well. So I'm Raelan.Agle on Instagram and Raelan Agle on Facebook. And also, which is kind of exciting, we have recently started a new Facebook group. So if you're looking for some extra support or a different way to connect with people, I would love for you to pop by there as well. Very positive, very solution focused, no drama, just love. So we'd love for you to come pop by, and we'll have the link for that in the video description as well. Thank you, Kayla, so much for doing this today. I really cannot tell you how much I appreciate it, and I think a lot of people will appreciate hearing your story. So thank you so much for finding the time and the energy to do this with us today.
Well, hopefully one day, well, I know one day I'll be able to do a healing or a full recovery story. So I hope we
Yes,
get to that point.
yes, we have to do a follow-up video one day,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Oh, thank you so much. It's a blessing to be able to do this, and like again, I really enjoyed it, and I hope that we can help others by speaking our voices. So thank you so much.
All right, so that is all for today. If you enjoyed this, please give this video a thumbs up. Please subscribe. Please share this video with others if you enjoyed it and think that it has value. And as always, we'd love to hear your comments, your thoughts below. If you have questions for Kayla, if you have questions for myself, we'd love to hear you share a bit of your own experience. Let's just keep the conversation going between these videos, because learning from each other is such a helpful thing with this illness, I find. So everything that you watching have to say has so much value as well. So we'd love to hear from you. I put out new videos each and every week, and I would love to see you next week. So that's all for today. Take care, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.